Good morning. This is the Angels in Politics broadcast or channel. And of course, you know, me as the goon, collar goon, white collar goon, Freezer, Mr. Freeze, that individual who reps Slytherin. There's a lot of things that you could call me, but we'll move on. Today I want to, well, first ask you, have you had your meal? Have you eaten? Okay. What I want to speak to you about is your dreams. I want to speak to you about your dreams. I am a dreamer. I think a lot of us are. I think most of us are. I think as we get older, and not older like we're over 100. I just mean as we mature and as we tend to be a bit more quote unquote realistic in our life. And I'll get into what realistic means or realism because I think that kind of you should have a sense of you should have your sensibilities and be pragmatic and practical and understand that there are things that can happen and how to or having dreams or wanting things and being a person who is realistic means I don't know if everybody can achieve their dreams, or I don't know if like the world is set up for just, going after your passions or what you like to do. And I feel like that's the difference between maybe in the older generation and the newer generation, millennials. I think a lot of the younger people, and I mean, I guess I'm including myself in this, and I'm kind of stuck in the middle because yeah, I'm almost 30, but I have spent a lot of time interfacing with people who are older than me, and I can deeply see and understand as to how they think and how they operate. Because if you were born prior to the 80s, if you were raised in the 60s, 70s, 50s, whatever, you didn't have a career, or you didn't have a job that was based on your dreams. You didn't you didn't grow up in the in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and they didn't tell you, "Hey, go after your dreams." This was after World War II era, and you have this you have people and the baby boomers, and people are moving out and moving to the suburbs, and home ownership is being pushed by the government, and also by, like, in other places in the world, having home ownership, and you were able to move into these homes for relatively cheap, by getting a 30-year mortgage. I mean, all that type of things about stability. So that's what I mean. The older generations, your parents, they're going to be more of an advocate for you chasing something sustainable, something reliable, something something that's relatable to your degree, what you've studied, or something relatable to your lifestyle, in the sense that it will it will yield you a income, or an income that can provide for you and your family. So these are all good things, right? Your parents don't want you to be homeless. If you tell your parents you want to be an artist, if they're not artists themselves, they'll say, "Hey, that might sound nice. It might sound abstract. It sounds whatever. But how will you get paid? How are you going to make a living? How will you sustain yourself in the hard times, in the economic recessions, or in depressions in which we're coming up on?" Or some might say that we are on the precipice of, like, coming up on another real estate crash or stock market crash or something like this, right? Something that can throw off your way of living, right? So we're aware that the majority of Americans, let's say over 2/3 of Americans, may not classify themselves as lower income or poor or anything like that. But we're aware that most Americans are a paycheck or two away from poverty or low income. A lot of people have jobs, and if something happened to that job or if something were to happen to you, or that job, then all of a sudden that house can't get paid for, that car can't get paid for, that tuition for your children's school can't get paid for, that loan, or that graduate school that you're paying off for your wife because she's, a successful whatever she is, or the medical school that your wife went into, that you're so happy that she has her degree and now now she's a doctor, or now she's a nurse, but low key, you're paying for that shit. So it's like a lot of things are happening to you, and your parents or your grandparents or these or the previous generations, they lived through that. They've understood that. They've ascertained that what goes up must come down, and just because you're in a good period, or a good you've had a good stretch, you know of success or comfort with your job and your wife's job or your kids positions, that they want you to be more on the stable end of the spectrum. And I'm going to go into further details about that. But if there's a line, there's a spectrum. Freedom is on this side, and stability is on this side. People want you over here. People want you where it's stable. All right. I'm going to give you my insight. All right, because I understand where they come from, and I think it's important that you have a balance. I talk a lot about systems here in Angels and Politics. We're a lifestyle, multimedia, pretty much everything company. But we talk a lot about systems that are put in place for you. That's another word for a routine, or I call it a personal process, or your political process if you're with Angels and Politics. And that process is just a sequence of behaviors and actions, and whatever you have implemented in life, so you can achieve what your goals are, or so you can achieve what your dreams are, whatever they may be. So I like to put up this little triangulation pyramid where I put three different dots. And of course, you know me, I've always talked about mind, body, and soul, and that's the personal system that you need to have in place. But for your dreams, you can have your dreams or your goals up top, and then on the bottom left hand side, you can talk about your values. What's important to you? All right, what's really important in your life? What are some things that, hey, on your Maslow's hierarchy of needs, what are the top ones up there? All right, so you put that down there, you write that down. You've written down where you see yourself or what you want. And when I talk about writing your dreams, like, or writing down your goals, or no, I'm just gonna stick with dreams right now. When I say dreams, it doesn't mean like, oh, I just had a dream that I was sitting on a reclining chair flying through the sky, like I've had before. Like, you don't necessarily have to write that down. Like, I want to be a person who can, whatever, swim with the dragons. Like, I'm not talking about dreams like that. I'm talking about what is something that you deep down wanted to do, or you thought would be so cool, or you wish, like, oh my gosh, in an ideal world or a utopian society, or if I was born again, I would be doing that type of shit. Like, if I had these skills, I would be doing that. Or if I look like that, I would be doing this. Or, what is your dream? Was your dream to play in the NBA? Okay, write that down if it is. Or if your dream was to be a singer, write that down. If your dream was to own a fishing boat and go deep sea fishing in Alaska. Like, write that shit down. Like, write it down. Write down your values. Okay, what's important to you, and then on the right hand side, write down your culture. Put culture, and culture is whatever it is that you do. So, what is it that you say, or if you think to yourself, 24 hours a day, okay, I might sleep 8 hours, okay, so that leaves me with 16. Maybe 4 to 5 hours out of that 16 is general maintenance. So, like, maybe you're left with 8, 9 hours, right? What are you doing with the time in your day? Like, take ownership of the day. Take ownership of your life. If you can take ownership of the day, you can take ownership of your life, right? So your culture is what is it that you're doing that is not in alignment with your values, and that won't lead you to your dreams or your goals, right? It all comes together, right? Because if you know what your goals are or your dreams are, and you're aware of what is important to you in your value systems, then your culture or whatever it is that you are doing must be in alignment with both of those. They must be. If it's not, then you have to change that, because that's your system. All right. When it comes to dreams, write them down.